All right, hey, welcome to Arroyo Profiles. We have a very special edition today. I don't look like Kevin, you may have noticed, but what we want to do today is to introduce the Arroyo channel to our new podcast studio. That's right, we have a Studio B now. We're jumping into the pool of podcasting. So, if you've been with us on this Arroyo Profiles adventure, you've seen Kevin sitting on the hosting seat introducing the at-home audience to our community of producers, volunteers, and just everyone cool that comes through these doors. And now, tomorrow, actually, we're having the ribbon cutting on the new Studio B. But we're giving you kind of a little preview of that right now, right here on Arroyo Profiles. And that's the theme music, but we're playing it in here through the Roadcaster. That's right. So if you're used to this show taking place in the studio, welcome to Studio B. I'm Jared. I'll be guiding you through our new Studio B. And I have with me today Roman Rivera.
Yeah,
Did I
happy to
pronounce
be
that
here. Yeah, that
correctly?
you did.
Great.
Roman Rivera.
And Roman will be demonstrating the Roadcaster for us today, while I can just concentrate on hosting and having a nice conversation with these fellows. And then to your left, we have Kevin Chin.
Yes.
Welcome. So, and Kevin just
We're all
also
excited
gets
to
to
be here.
relax
Yes.
and just talk with us.
Mm-hmm.
So, unlike one of our studio productions, podcast tends to be a little bit more hands-on. And so you might be in an instance where you are directing the show, you are audio operating, running the mixer as you're going. So podcasting is a medium that tends to be a little bit more do it yourself, maybe a little more anarchaic. And we're embracing that here in Studio B. We do have the luxury today, though, of having Mr. Cliff present, who's been with us on many of the episodes of Arroyo Profiles through the years. He is actually directing the show on a Mevo camera device. So, Roman, how many times have you visited us here at Arroyo Profiles?
Well, I've been fortunate enough to be here several times now. I think this might be my sixth or seventh time.
Okay, doing the
Yeah.
show. Any moments or guests or events that stood out to you?
Every time I come here is always something different, so I enjoy being here and getting to know everyone, all the volunteers and the people that work here and give their time to make this channel be the best it can be. And I'm still trying to learn the family at the Pasadena Media and going from there. So
That's a little broad and vague. Anything specific? Any moment that
specific.
anything funny that happened or something you observed that informed what you want to do with your own productions?
Well, there's been several funny moments. I could recall the last one when I was here with the video training. We had the on-camera training type of thing, or I think it was one of those. Maybe it was a different one, but we had to get in front of the camera and say, "Oh, it was the teleprompter one." There was several of us there at that time, and there was a couple of people that actually did really great. And I found out that we have to count down into the scene,
Mm-hmm.
and it turns out that I do not know how to count down from 5 to 1.
Okay, in the
Yeah.
moment you got a little lost,
What do you
or
mean?
like
Oh,
what happened that went wrong?
I can't like when you because we are supposed to use our hands, right?
Oh
And
yes,
you go
yes.
from 10, 9, 8, and then 5, 4,
Oh,
3, 2, 1.
and you just didn't know which hand to stick with.
I wasn't sure which fingers I should use to count down. I ended up with the middle finger for number one.
Okay, that could be
Yeah, that would
problematic.
have been a big
Could be
issue.
bad.
Yeah,
It sends a bitter message.
yeah. I was like, I do not, and I didn't know none of these people, right? The first time I ever seen them, so I I had to make sure that I didn't end up with the middle finger, pointing to them.
Yeah,
So that was one of the things I had to that stood out to me last time I was here.
cool. And now, Kevin, you've been volunteered on several productions of Arroyo Profiles. I think you directed last time, is that right? Last episode? So thoughts, observations?
Well, an interesting that happened in that episode, we didn't have one of our guests, so and then we remembered that there is a woman who lives in the studio who got to sub in as our guest.
Oh yeah, what's that woman's name?
I don't quality.
So you're talking about Amanda,
Yes.
the mannequin, our lighting model. Yeah, so
Oh,
she
okay,
stood in.
yeah.
How did that go for you?
So I don't. I thought that was a very interesting thing to have a mannequin as a guest on a talk show. I didn't think that's been. I don't know of any instance in which that's been done before.
And probably not. Yeah,
Groundbreaking.
yeah. Even in the films Mannequin and Mannequin 2 on the Move, the mannequin doesn't get a lot of screen time. Um, she becomes a human, like a Pinocchio tale, or the Twilight Zone episode with Marsha the mannequin. She becomes so you don't get a lot of screen time with mannequins. Did that present any directorial challenges for you?
I don't know if it presented a challenge, but it made me realize how much of a challenge it is when humans move, and it simplified things because she opted out of that decision.
Yeah, yeah. She had no body autonomy. Any other observations from what other productions have you worked on around here? Any stories to tell?
Another time there was also no guest, so then we decided to rotate every, I believe, 90 seconds.
Oh,
That
okay, and
was
everyone
an,
got a chance to be a guest. Yeah.
it was also interesting to have every job in the studio during the same production.
During the same production, yeah, and that's kind of just how we roll sometimes around here. A beautiful thing about community television is you're not stuck in one lane doing one thing for your entire career. You could try a lot of stuff out. But do you guys have a favorite position you like to focus on in television? Something that's your strength you like to concentrate on?
I am still working through all the positions. So I am excited to learn what those are. The few that I've had, I've enjoyed each one of them. So the more hands-on that I have the opportunity here to do some of these tasks, then I'll be able to find out which one I'm really more, encouraged to go after.
So you're open and finding your niche, working on it.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I enjoy coming to Pasadena Media is because I'm able to try some of these different tasks or
Hmm.
opportunities that I have to see where I fit in inside the production of a show.
Like when you came here tonight, did you expect to be thrown into a podcast?
Yeah, I'm today was not. I wasn't planning for this. Tell you the truth, I signed up, but on the way over here, I just knew I had to be here, but I wasn't sure what to expect
Hmm.
because I signed up for like a week beforehand, right? And I'm like, I just have to be here. So I think I'm actually really fortunate to be here for the first inauguration of the podcast, because I think we're gonna have a show like, and I've
Hmm.
seen the show before, so now this is a nice unexpected turnout to everything. So I really enjoy it.
Excellent. Yeah. And, so Kevin, what do you like to focus on? What are you hyper focused about?
I liked all of the positions I've done here, but I think if I had to pick one, it would be directing.
Okay. Yeah. I do you see more directing in your future.
I think so, yes.
Excellent. Yeah. So you,
Directing is fun. I still haven't done the directing part of it.
yeah.
That's the one I got tied up Monday.
Well,
Monday they were having the
well, if you hang out at Arroyo Profiles enough and come here, I always, if someone's been to like three, four, five Arroyo Profiles, I start saying like, "Have you directed yet?" And I'll try to push
sure.
everyone towards that. Because yeah, our training program, if you haven't taken a training here or been through to see it, is it's a la carte. You can focus on what you want, but it all kind of moves towards directing to some extent. So if you take a camera training, you take a CG training, you take a floor manager training, audio training, you're going to get a little bit of knowledge about how the director is incorporated into that. Then by the time you take technical director training, we're really preparing you to direct live television. And then Arroyo Profiles is the program where we always try to have someone direct who hasn't directed here at Pasadena Media before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds fun.
So obviously, we're introducing this new room, this new space where our producers can expand what they do and either produce a original podcast or produce a addendum kind of companion to their television show, a podcast. What do you guys think about podcasts? Do you listen to podcasts?
I haven't. Have you?
I listen to NPR.
Do you
Is that
listen
considered a podcast?
their radio station or their podcasts?
On the radio, they have shows that
That
are
that
mostly
doesn't
dialogue.
count.
Is
That
that not a
doesn't know.
podcast?
No, for a podcast, you gotta
It has
like
to be on
open a
demand.
phone or yeah, it has to be on demand.
I keep hearing this Joe Rogan podcast is pretty good, but I don't even know how to get into a podcast.
So you guys are gonna conceivably have your own podcast or be guests on a podcast before you even have listened to one.
Yeah.
I'll assure you, you guys are the outsiders because podcasts are the thing. A lot of people are
Yeah.
really hip to them, downloading them, streaming them, enjoying them on the go. So promise me you're gonna try out a podcast this week.
I will promise that.
All
Yes,
right, and we'll
we're
get we're
doing
gonna
podcasts
and
this
I'm gonna
week.
quiz you next time I see you. Hey, what podcast do you listen to?
Yeah, I'm very bad at quizzes,
All right.
so we'll see
Well,
how it goes.
I'll tell you what I like about podcasting, and I tell this to people in kind of like justifying and explaining this space we have here is television, radio, old media. It's always called broadcasting, right? And it's broadcasting because of the cost of producing and the limited resources to create programming and broadcast it. You have to have a broad message that kind of suits culture at large, suits everyone out there,
Mm.
and also suits if it's corporate television, it has to suit the advertisers too. So podcasting is more like narrowcasting rather than broadcasting in that it can be created in a bedroom, it can be created in a closet and made for little to no money and released to the wild. Now, a lot of podcasts are very famous and have millions of listeners, and they are closer to like your NPR or your broadcasting model. But I like to think of it as narrowcasting because some of the most interesting podcasts are communities connecting of people who have very specific interests. So that said, let me ask you guys, whoever can think of it first, what's your most unique, strangest, esoteric interest that you're interested in?
Uh, that would be architecture, probably. Like not just architecture, like model building.
Model building.
Yeah, yeah. I've been trying to figure out how to do that.
So
Like little,
miniatures.
yeah, like little miniature, yeah, architecture pieces. Yeah, like you with like little sticks.
So do you make these or you appreciate them?
I've been trying to make some of those for a little while. I
Okay.
don't know how to get started, but it just looks like it'll be a cool puzzle to put together.
Okay, I love that answer. And what I want you to do while I talk to Kevin, do you have your phone building podcast? Just Google it or Bing or whatever your preferred
Google it.
browser is. Whatever your preferred browser, look it up model miniature podcast. And so, Kevin, what's your esoteric, unique?
I don't know how unique this is, but I've been I've started getting into 3D printing and 3D design. I I see it's like growing in awareness, so maybe it's not going to be so unique at another time period, but it doesn't seem to be that popular yet, so I
3D
guess it
printing.
would be unique right now.
We're losing you a little bit. So, with these mics, you
Uh,
really got to eat the mic like an ice cream cone. You want to be on axis, like on the side of it, to pick up side directionally. So, did you hear that? How we're losing you a little?
a little, yes.
So, tell us again about the 3D, your interest in 3D printing, 3D modeling. Do you do the modeling part of it or the printing part, both?
Uh, I do some modeling on a browser-based program online,
What's it called?
Tinkercad.
Tinkercad. Cool. So like AutoCAD is a big name. Then there's
Yeah, I believe it is
SketchUp.
affiliated with AutoCAD, but this is like a more simplified version for people who don't really know things like three-dimensional engineering.
We're losing your mic a lot, so maybe sit more in front of it.
Is this better? Can
That's
you hear
much
that?
better. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that's your sweet spot. Stay on that. Stay on that sweet spot. You really got to learn the microphone.
Use of
control.
microphones.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So great. So 3D modeling, 3D printing. The Pasadena library here actually has.
Yes,
You're
that is
lighting
where
up.
I've been.
Have you been
Where
using it?
I recently 3D printed a small cat.
What?
Awesome.
Damn,
And that's hard
cat.
because it has the undercuts and all that. So,
Yeah.
so yeah. So if you're in Pasadena, which hopefully you are, if you're watching this show, um, yeah, the Pasadena library is a great resource for getting some. Actually, you can
They have
use
two
the
3D
3D.
printers
That's
No way.
amazing.
They have
That's
3D
amazing.
printers in
at that
right
library
here?
across the street.
No way. Seriously? Wow, that's
Yeah. So
interesting.
check it out. So
Mm-hmm.
I think you might have found something. Have you?
I
Okay.
did.
So Kevin, do you have your phone on you?
Yes.
Try to find a 3D printing podcast while I talk to Roman here. What did you find, Roman?
I found out this Aaron Skinner. He's the man in Scale Model Podcast.
So there you go.
There's this guy. Yeah.
So and
They're right on here.
I bet you some of these podcasts too, like there might be 10,000 people in the world that make miniature models, and I bet you 1,000 of them are listening to this
Wait, so what
podcast.
do? I just click on it and it works?
You'll get a podcast app like here at Pasadena Media. Our podcast we put out in house. We're going to be distributing through SoundCloud, but you can use free podcast
I've
distribution
never seen this.
websites like Anchor.
Oh, look at this. Google
Yeah.
Podcast. It's a
Yeah,
thing.
so on your phone you
Wow.
can just get an
Like
application,
this Joe Rogan
your
thing,
preferred application to listen
Huh.
to podcasts, and you can start listening to it. So
No
maybe you want to
way.
bookmark the model building one. Do you want to give that a shout out one more time? What was it called?
I am downloading this app. Aaron Skinner, model building.
Yeah.
Let me go back to it though, because
Yeah.
I browsed away. Scale Model Podcast.
Yeah.
Aaron Skinner, yeah, right on Google Podcast.
Yeah. Now don't worry, loyal fans of Arroyo Profiles, you're in no danger of Arroyo Profiles becoming a podcast. We're gonna stick with a nice studio show. But this special edition is highlighting is what you can do in this podcast room. Now, if you go to PasadenaMedia.org and go to the Listen tab, what Chris has done is he has um, put out a audio only version of previous episodes of Arroyo Profiles, so you can listen right now, streaming through our website to many episodes of Arroyo Profiles as a podcast. So that's a choice our producers can do. If your show is heavy on conversation and is very an audio centric television show, you can have an alternate edition where you release it as a podcast, which some of our producers already do. So that's something else to think about. Now, Kevin, did you find a podcast for your interest, which is kind of 3D printing AutoCAD?
I see several articles here googling 3D printing podcast that give reviews of 3D printing podcasts, so that there's plenty.
Yeah.
If there's enough to have a top 10 listicle, I'm
Yeah.
assuming there's more. There must be plenty more.
So do you guys see what I mean? How a podcast can be a narrow community-based audience. And that's
Mhm.
what's exciting here at Pasadena Media and why we're really jumping into it, because our what we do is community, not only bringing community together, but amplifying the voices that are unique and maybe underserved by corporate commercial media and podcasts. That's the wheelhouse of podcasts. So this space here, this Studio B, is going to be a great companion to our primary studio, and it's going to really be value added to what producers do here. So, do you guys want to tell me a little bit more about yourself, like Roman?
I
Who
was
are
I
you?
was into this podcast.
You check that out later when you're driving
Yeah, you
home.
got me hooked, man.
When you're
I'm
driving
a
home, you can listen
podcast
to
man
that.
now. Yeah, looking for the drive. My name, well, I'm Roman, and I like to, I like this, and I do like business consulting type of thing.
Okay,
So
excellent.
yeah, so I like anything business related type of, if I could work on that, that's interesting to me.
Doing business and business interests.
Yeah, yeah,
Excellent.
yeah.
Excellent.
hmm
And Kevin, who are you?
Kevin.
What's
What is
your
it you?
life's passion? What do you do when you're not at Pasadena Media?
When I'm not here, I spend a lot of time at work, or watching television, or spending time with cats.
Awesome. So do you have cats?
I do have cats.
How many?
Depending on what day it is,
So you have like
two to.
a cat sanctuary? It's constantly in flux? The amount of
I
cats?
would say yes.
Really? Wow. Hmm.
Okay, cat hotel. Like
Yes.
they come and go.
They do
They book the
rotate, and
night.
they sometimes there's two, sometimes there's four.
I'm
Oh,
thinking you either take care of cats really well or really poorly. One or the other.
Well, they keep coming back, and they seem to
So you're
like
kind of
me.
like you have a welcome open door policy to all the
Yes.
neighborhood cats. So you're probably stealing some of your neighbors' cats. They're coming
Well,
and hanging out with you for a few days.
they came from somewhere, so maybe they had an owner before me.
All right, that's interesting.
Although I don't like to use the term owner when we're referring to pets.
They have autonomy.
They're
They have
human.
they're human, yeah. So let me ask you guys this: if tomorrow you are you have to have a show here, a podcast. What podcast are you gonna have?
what would I have? Okay, so my
And
thing is like with business. So I would have like a business podcast. I would possibly try to schedule business owners here in Pasadena come into the podcast studio, Studio B, and have a conversation about what has taken them to grow their business this far.
great.
That's
So
what I would do.
you're teaching people how to do business things.
Yeah, that would be my
Excellent.
thing.
What would it be called?
The Roman show.
The Roman Show.
Yeah, Roman talks.
Doing business with Roman.
Yeah,
Roman
Roman. Yeah,
talks.
yeah, something like that. Yeah,
Roman's biz.
yeah, Rome biz.
Rome biz. Hey, all right.
Yeah, along those
Workshop it.
lines.
And Kevin, how about you? What's your show that you're starting tomorrow?
I have been thinking about starting a blog, but I guess it could be a podcast in which I've noticed that with a lot of streaming services, there's so much content that it's hard to navigate and decide what to actually watch. So I would thought of making reviews of my favorite things that are on Canopy, which is a streaming service that's provided through schools and libraries, including Pasadena Library.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Pasadena Library, really?
I believe
Okay,
so.
that's excellent. Yeah, I've used Canopy, and that is a great. It's like a Netflix, but with kind of better, more artsier, more
It's
world
like a higher
cinema flow.
brow
Yeah,
Canopy.
higher brow Canopy. Yeah, that's smart. So you're reviewing what's on Canopy and advocating for the use of that, sort of.
Yeah.
What would that be called? What's your podcast called?
I don't know. I'm so bad at names.
Kevin and Canopy, Kevin under the canopy, Canopy Kevin,
Canopy Kevin.
streaming with Kevin.
Sure.
Those are really good names.
Yeah, so cool. So yeah, you guys kind of are getting the feeling how you can be specific with a podcast in a way. And it's
Yeah.
kind of freeing sometimes just to be behind a microphone and maybe I don't have to look all done up and perfect for my podcast. I could be in my pajamas.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense. hmm No one. It all depends on your voice. Like you know how sometimes you hear the news people,
Mhm.
and like you listen to them, like oh man, that person must be one sexy person, right? And then you see him like on a show somewhere. And you're like, oh, that's him, that's her. I never expected that voice to be with that person,
So
type of
they
thing.
used to say like you have a face for radio.
Yeah,
That's
you have a
something I've
face
heard a
for
lot.
radio.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the fun part about having a podcast, I guess.
Is you can Oh, okay, cool. We'll
Yeah.
we'll leave it at that. So we're really excited here at Pasadena Media to introduce you guys, the whole community, and the world to this space. We'll be going back to our usual format, of course, for Arroyo Profiles. We are the training television show where our training programs dovetail into this show, where people get to try out positions for the first time. So when you do watch these episodes, it's usually a first-time director, or at least a first time here at Pasadena Media, or maybe a first-time audio operator. Every position, it's all volunteers like all of our shows. And I'm going to start sneaking in the music here to show you how it's done. All right, that's our familiar music, right? Which, by the way, I need to mention is provided by Eric L. Bailey Sr., who should get more credit for everything he does around here. He's been around for years. You guys all know Eric, right?
Yes.
Yes, just
Sure.
say yes.
Of
You'd know him
course.
if you saw him, but he actually provided a whole library of music to our producers here, which just goes to show you what a great community we have. And this is one of his tracks that we use as the Arroyo Profiles theme song. And we also, don't forget Cliff, he's been with us here directing tonight. So if you do want to do more than just like, follow, and subscribe, which we do hope you do, come over to our website, pasadenamedia.org, and you'll find all the links to where you can come in, take an orientation and a tour. And just like these gentlemen here, you can be in front of the camera, behind the camera, doing things, learning equipment, taking free trainings, and getting involved and working towards having a show of your own if that's what you desire. So check us out, pasadenamedia.org. So thank you guys for sitting in with us tonight, introducing the whole community to the podcast Studio B, and we'll see you guys next time. We can just chatter, so we can run. I can put credits over this later.
And then we pretend like we're having a dialogue.
Is pretending we're having a dialogue.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Let's pretend this. This is
So-
pretend time.
So how'd that feel?